You don't just walk down the street and all of a sudden get smacked by a demon and go, whoa, I'm possessed. You've pretty much got to make an appointment for that. Understand that all of those things I'm talking about are satisfying, or they're filling in the void of something that's missing in a life. If you're going to make a deal with the devil, let's say, because you want fame, here's the question. What is it in your life that's hurt such that fame is going to be the ointment to try to heal it? What is the thing in your life that's hurting such that you turn to a Ouija board to try to get answers, or even just to be entertained? The demons in your life inhabit your wounds. This is where they come from. You suffer some kind of a wound, some kind of a past trauma, and then the things that we use to try to treat it, to cover it up, that's where the demons come in. Going back to the question, was the alcoholism something that brought about the demons, or was it something that tried to cover up the demons? It's very likely a thing that he used to treat the demons. Question that psychiatrists will try to answer, it's the same thing, by the way, that the priests will try to answer, which is, what's the wound? What was the opening? Because a wound is the thing, you don't really get an infection on you unless you have kind of a wound. If you get a cut, the infections get into the wound because there's an opening that's there. You can think of the demon as the infection. Now here's the question. When you get that infection, how do you treat it? You could just get a knife and cut the infection out, right? And then you just made a deeper wound and you've opened it up for more infection. But this is how a lot of us treat our wounds. It's this a strange thing about people that we behave in ways that we know are almost guaranteed to make us unhappy and to make us worse. And we do it cognizantly, we do it unknowingly. We cover it up with alcoholism, and then we're found in a gutter, on our birthdays, taken to a hospital and we die.
Well, the Catholic Church believes in demons.
Oh yeah.
But does modern science believe in demons?
Modern science had us covered up in masks for 2 years.
They would call
The shadows in his souls are not cast by the external world, but they're actually twisted silhouettes of his own demons. Now, so I guess now the question becomes, what are the demons? Well, first off, what are demons? What are demons? None of you guys babysit little kids.
We know that Poe probably was an alcoholic.
Probably. That's like saying his name was probably Poe.
Yeah, that's
that motherfucker drank, dude.
Yeah, he was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
The question is,
Yeah.
was he an alcoholic because of his demons, or were the demons the result of his alcoholism?
He's doing it for the lulz, right? I mean, the guy drank a lot. First, by the way, that's something that might stand out to us. We see that he's born in 1809, dies in 1849, and he dies on his birthday, doesn't he? I believe he dies on his birthday. Yeah, happy birthday. Yeah. The dude just he's found, by the way, he doesn't just die. He's not just, I'm going to go off now, surrounded by loved ones. He dies in a gutter. He's found in a gutter somewhere. You're like, that's Poe, isn't it? I wasn't sure it was him until I realized he was drunk. Now I know it's Poe. And by the way, he was, I'll say he was a drunk. The alcoholics go to meetings. This guy was a drunk. This guy shows up to the White House. He's invited to the White House by the president. He shows up wasted and tries to sell him a magazine subscription. He's that wasted. So now the question becomes, was he dealing with some inner demons, or was the alcohol going to be the cause of it? And we can figure out the answer to this, by the way. So again, it goes back to this question, what are demons? What are demons literally? Yeah.
Like as traumas?
Yeah, but we'll get there. But what are demons literally?
That take over your body.
They take over your body? Oh. There's evil spirits that take over your body? Okay. And how do they get into you? You don't know? By looking the wrong way at me. What's that? Huh? You guys know how demons get into you?
Yeah.
Oh, come on. All right, how many of you are interested in paranormal things? So there's this fantastic podcast, if you're into paranormal things, called the Exorcist Files. Yeah, write that one down. It's done by a dude named Carlos Martins, who's an exorcist. He's a Catholic priest who's an exorcist. You can see interviews with this guy. They're fascinating. It's a season 1. Now season 2, I think, just came out. I think I read. And in it, he goes over some of the cases that he's been involved in as an exorcist. And they're fascinating because you listen to him and you have to keep reminding yourself from what he's saying, it's not fiction. From what he's saying, this actually happened. And I don't know why the guy would have an incentive to lie about that. And you can go online and watch interviews on YouTube with like Carlos Martin's, who's the other one that was really well known? Malachi Martin was another really famous exorcist. He was actually the head of exorcisms from the Catholic Church in the United States. And to hear this guy talk, man, there's some really creepy things going on, man. I heard one of the stories. Anybody in here a Nirvana fan? Yeah. There's a really crazy story about him with the Church of Satan. I'll give you a heads up. It involves a kennel. You can go read it about. You can go listen to it if you want to. But from what these guys talk about, the purpose of an exorcism is not to get rid of a demon. The purpose of the exorcism is to find out what gives a demon the right to inhabit a body. So in other words, it isn't just get rid of the demon. All right, thanks, bro. Let me go back to what I was doing. The question is to find out from the demon what gave you the authority to possess this person, and then figure out what gave it the authority, and then use that to get rid of the demon. Quite literally. Now, going back to what are they metaphorically? You're about to say
Past traumas?
past traumas. So they're not different. They're not going to be different. In other words, what allows the demon to go into a person and possess him? Martins talks about it. He says it's things like Ouija boards. It's things like seances. It's things like offering to sell your soul for fame or fortune. Things like that. You don't just walk down the street and all of a sudden get smacked by a demon and go, whoa, I'm possessed. You've pretty much got to make an appointment for that. So now understand that all of those things I'm talking about, they're satiating, they're satisfying, or they're filling in the void of something that's missing in a life. If you're going to make a deal with the devil, let's say, because you want fame, here's the question. What is it in your life that's hurt such that fame is going to be the ointment to try to heal it? What is the thing in your life that's hurting such that you turn to a Ouija board to try to get answers or even just to be entertained? In other words, if you only remember one thing I tell you this year, man, I hope it's going to be this. The demons in your life, they inhabit your wounds. The demons in your life inhabit your wounds. This is where they come from. You suffer some kind of a wound, some kind of a past trauma, and then the things that we use to try to treat it, to cover it up, that's where the demons come in. So for example, going back to the question, was the alcoholism something that brought about the demons, or was it something that tried to cover up the demons? It's very likely a thing that he used to treat the demons.
Well, the Catholic Church believes in demons.
Oh yeah.
But does modern science believe in demons?
Modern science had us covered up in masks for 2 years.
They would call it mental illness, wouldn't they?
No, actually no. The way that, in fact, Martin talks about that. What they do, the Catholic Church, before they'll do an exorcism, they bring in secular psychiatrists to do an analysis. And so they say that out of every 100 people who get referred, about 99 of them, they say, nope, no demon, it's psychiatric. And then of the 1% who stick around, they do an exorcism on about 1% of even just that 1%. And you can go on YouTube and watch videos with some of the secular psychiatrists who are involved in those things. It's fascinating, like the lengths to which they go to try to figure out exactly what's going on with that person. And it's only when they've exhausted everything that they will that they'll say, okay, we'll try an exorcism. An exorcism isn't like what you see in the movies where they grab the person, tie him down, and beat the demon at him or whatever. Those cases do happen, but that's why we hear about them, because they're so rare. But these are things that modern science will say we have no answer for. And so that's what it is that they're trying to uncover. What is it, the thing that we don't quite have the answer for? Remember the it to which we're referring? What's that base thing that we're missing? What is the it to which we're referring? What's the it that we're trying to get to the bottom of? In the case of something like that, psychiatrically, Which, by the way, psychiatrically, they'll even cover chemical imbalances in that. They'll try antidepressants and they'll try those things first before they finally will do an exorcism. So these folks are trying to get to the bottom of something that we really don't understand. Now, the Catholic Church will say they understand it. And the Catholics are the only ones who will do exorcisms, but they are the ones who have it down to a science, as it were. There's a formula for it. You know, their exorcism rites go back to the 17th century, and it's funny because sometimes you'll like I've talked to pastors before, just Protestant pastors, and I've asked them before, have you ever done an exorcism? They'll say, we've done a couple, but whenever things get really deep, we bring in the Catholics. Catholics are the armies of that stuff. And so the question that psychiatrists will try to answer, it's the same thing, by the way, that the priests will try to answer, which is, what's the wound? What was the opening? Because a wound is the thing, like, you don't really get an infection on you unless you have kind of a wound. If you get a cut, the infections get into the wound because there's an opening that's there. You can think of the demon as the infection. Now here's the question. When you get that infection, how do you treat it? You could just get a knife and cut the infection out, right? And then you just made a deeper wound and you've opened it up for more infection. But this is how a lot of us treat our wounds. We don't do the things that are actually going to be helpful for it. In fact, the ways in which we deal with our traumas, a lot of times, we make it worse. We cover it up with alcoholism, and then we're found in a gutter, on our birthdays, taken to a hospital, and we die. And by the way, we'll say that we still don't know exactly what he died from. 32 years of alcoholism, I think he reported. I think he said he started drinking when he was 8. So that might be what kind of caused it. Which, by the way, that's a hell of a young age to start, man. You have to ask that question. What was going on in this dude's life? At 8 years old, he picked up a bottle. Something. Not to be an asshole, but I don't know. Some of you guys started picking up drugs when you were around that age too, or 12, 13, 14. Some of you can't get through a class. You have to run to the bathroom to vape or something in there. And I'm not saying anything that you don't already know. I'm just kind of bringing it to light and asking you a question. So what's that wound that thing is designed to try to cover? And is it actually doing you good? Or are you just covering up the symptoms? If you get a cold and you take NyQuil or you take Dayquil, there's nothing in there that heals you. What it does is it numbs you so you don't feel the symptoms anymore. You guys ever get sick and you take cold medicine and all of a sudden you're like, I feel better. And then you go out and you do your normal day and you come back at night and you're like, I feel terrible again. I think I've relapsed. No, you didn't relapse. You just never got over it in the first place. You just covered up your symptoms. You just numbed them with the pain medicine. The infection was always there. And the only way you can deal with it is to deal with it properly. Getting the proper nutrition, getting the proper rest. But that's so hard. Let's just cover it up. And this is one of the reasons that you'll get a cold and it'll last for a month. I don't know if any of you have ever been sick for like a month. Keeps coming and going and coming and going. Yeah. And you've had it before. And that's the thing. You good, man? It's like you're gonna puke.
So the infection is the demon.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the thing that you opened up that allows it in. And again, we kind of invite it in because we make things worse. Think about the ways that we deal. I mean, it's a strange thing about people that we behave in ways that we know are almost guaranteed to make us unhappy and to make us worse. And we do it cognizantly. We do it unknowingly. And we treat ourselves in ways that we would never let our friends treat themselves because we care about them. And we've talked about it before in here. And maybe it's a matter of treating ourselves the way that we would treat people who we actually care about. Or treat yourself the way that you would treat your best friends, assuming you like them. Think about the ways that you would treat your own children if you had children. What advice would you give them in this situation? Would you just tell them, hey man, fuck it, go for it? Knowing it could be something that could ruin their life. Not ruin, but make it worse. And we would never tell people that we love to follow some of the advice that we follow immediately that we give ourselves. But those are the things that allow the demons to come in, because once things get worse, what do we turn to? Whatever we think is going to stop the pain or stop the suffering right now. But can you stop the suffering? I know you've heard this before. Life is suffering. We don't get to choose not to suffer, but we can choose what we're going to suffer for, and to find something within that suffering that makes it all worthwhile, so we can transcend that suffering. Not something that causes us to cover up the suffering, because that's not overcoming anything. Not to find something that makes it go away for now, because for now always just becomes later. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right with you. I forgot. But it was about to be genius. I'm certain of it. So, because whatever we're doing right now to try to solve right now or to make the pain stop right now always becomes later. Because, I mean, look at today. Today is the tomorrow that some of you were worried about yesterday. And it showed up. Next year is, do you guys realize that we're going to go on break in 2 weeks? When we come back from break, we're a quarter of the way through your senior year. Yeah. And that happened fast, didn't it? Our schedules just got finished. And all of a sudden, we're a quarter of the way through our last year. And then that's going to collapse fast, because once we come back from Christmas, you're more than halfway through it. And that tomorrow that some of you were worried about in June that tomorrow is going to happen real fast. It's going to become today. And this is not a way of saying, so therefore be terrified. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques. It's a way of saying, be prepared for it. The things that will make your tomorrow better, do them today. Don't cover them up, because if you do, the demons will inhabit those wounds. And the demons will be the things that, just like in the theology, that possess you, that cause you to behave in ways that you wouldn't normally behave. That's what the panic is going to do. That's what the trauma is going to do. That's what the fear is going to do. That's what the anxiety is going to do. It's going to cause you to behave in ways that rationally you never would, and ways that you would never want someone that you love to behave. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Tuesday? Anything to add? Anything to add?
No, I'm just enjoying you.
Oh.
I don't get to hear really good lectures. I usually go in and it says, the assignment is on Google.
Oh, I thought about that.
This is a pleasure. I read some of his work, and it's so dark and grim. And he was very troubled.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure I believe in demons as life. I've been watching Discovery of Witches.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, it's really silly, it's fiction. Yeah, it's based on books, and they had demons and witches and vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they don't have witches as we know them that can actually do magic.
Mm-hmm. I've met some.
I don't believe in that. I believe there might be good witches who use herbal remedies as, like, what did they call the people back in the Middle Ages? Druids?
Mm-hmm.
More like witches?
No, Druids were a religious sect, in Celtic religious sect. It was more of like a pantheistic religion.
So I don't believe in vampires, and I don't believe in witches, and I find it hard to believe in demons as something that can be exercised. I think it can be treated medically, physically, therapeutically.
Yeah.
That's it. But I realize he uses it as a literary device, right?
Yeah.
Because
Oh.
he could say the twisted silhouettes of my own fears.
Oh, but demons are so much more than the fears.
See that?
Yeah.
Define demon.
Fallen angel, because even dark angels will masquerade as angels of light.
Like Satan.
They're the things. Satan would be an archetype of a demon. Yeah, but it's anything that would be, especially something that masquerades as something good, and something that could solve our issues. So, for example, Oh, psychiatry. If it's not a if it isn't a chemical imbalance, could be something that we could see as being demonic, because it masquerades as something that would be helpful. When in actuality, if the problem is not that, it actually makes it worse because it causes us to rely on it. You know, it's kind of like, I think it was in this class, right? We looked at the article, Fix Yourself. And Peterson mentions a scene from one of T.S. Eliot's plays called The Cocktail Party, in which there's a psychiatrist who's talking to a woman, and she says that she hopes that the problems of her life are within herself, because if the problems are out in the world, she's doomed. And so often we try to treat those things as though there's something chemical or physical or external, because we miss it that there are these multiple parts of a human being. We're not just physical, because if we were just physical, there would be no explanation for a mind, which is immaterial. There are these two parts of us, the physical part and the non-physical part. And that's why we have these non-physical yearnings, because the physical things are easy to satisfy. And we think oftentimes that the problems of our life are going to be those material things. But this is why suicide is a disease of the very wealthy and the very young. The very young, because we lack a perspective to know that things are bad today, but they can get better. If you've lived a little while, you've had bad days and you've had great days, and so you have the perspective of seeing things get better. However, if you're very wealthy, all of the things that you're supposed to want are satiated, they're taken care of. You have everything, and yet you're still empty. There's still something inside of us that we're missing. Meaning, purpose, whatever. Imagine having everything. Imagine looking at your life right now and saying, if my life was fill in the blank and created like Build-A-Bear, if my life was like this, it would be perfect. And then you get all of that, and you get more of it than you even asked for. More of it than you even could have imagined. And you're still miserable. That can make you start to feel like you're uniquely cursed. Like, wow, so there's nothing that can fill up this thing that's inside of me, because the thing that's inside of you can't be fixed with anything material.
So can you be born with a demon in you, or does that demon arrive when it's left an opening?
Oh, when it's left an opening, because the
So
problem.
you can't be born demon.
No.
No, you're born innocent.
Yeah, because those are the things that we actually have to actually invite in.
Okay.
Like, I'm sad today, so how do I fix my sadness? I invite a demon in. The demon in that case being alcohol. The demon in that case being drugs. The demon being something that actually seems like it's masquerading as an angel of light. Like, oh, this is going to make my problems better. But it doesn't. It makes things worse. It's like if, like the whole idea of going back to that motif of selling your soul to Satan for whatever it is that you think you're lacking in your life. Will you get the thing that you feel like you're lacking in your life? First off, you'll get the thing that you feel like you're lacking in your life, because going back to, remember we talked about the spaghetti sauce in this class, yes? Yeah, the audience is bullshit. We don't even know what we need or what we want. But we're fast to say what we desire. But the real thing that we're lacking, we don't even know that we're lacking it. Remember the Glicks? How do you know when you found something that you're looking for if you don't even know where to start looking for it, and if you don't even know what it is? And so we start to cover it up. The demons are the things that promise to fix those things for us, but actually they make things worse. So you make a deal with the devil and you get fame, and then you lose eternal life. Was it actually better for you? No, it seemed like it at the time, though. So the demons are the things that we actually have to actively invite in. Usually out of ignorance, because we perish for lack of knowledge. Good questions. Anything to add?
I asked a question earlier about if he died on his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
He did not.
He did not? How he died on his birthday?
Me too. Born in January, died in October. And
Oh,
apparently-
he died on Halloween.
Oh, not quite. The 7th.
You were short of it.
The 7th.
Oh.
And the cause of his death, there's like a million possibilities.
Yeah, they even say rabies. Oh,
Yeah,
whatever.
I
Yeah, you
see
got
rabies.
bitten by a dog. Shut up, dude.
Diabetes, heart disease, epilepsy, tuberculosis, and then obviously the alcohol.
All of it.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
He died from all of it.
And then,
He got bitten by a diabetic raccoon who gave him rabies while he was drunk.
And then 6th of October in the East Coast in
Yeah.
It's not like here in October when we're in heat wave.
Oh yeah.
He was like in and out of
Because he had
consciousness, hallucinating before he died.
That much I do remember. He was in and out of consciousness. He was hallucinating.
And then his final words.
Life is suffering.
No, he did not.
Mm.
He said, "Lord, help my poor soul."
That much I did know. I actually did know that. Lord, help my
Didn't he
poor
also
soul.
have a very unhappy love affair with a relative?
Yes. Married his cousin.
That never happened.
Okay, because I'm reading the wrong stuff.
Yeah. He married his cousin.
What? Oh. This is what?
He's a poet, all right?
Well, we're also talking about a long time ago when,
Yeah, nothing like that
we
long.
had royal families that married their own cousins, so.
Yeah, and it shows, man.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, no, no, it was a scandal even in his time that he was marrying his cousin. Even in this time.
13.
Yeah, the fact that she was 13 didn't really make it any better.
Wait, what?
You know, you heard me.
No, I didn't hear you.
13, yeah, I'm not dyslexic, it was 13.
She was 13.